Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to dive into something called the Hua Hu Ching. Now, this is an ancient text from the sage Lao Tzu, but what's incredible is how it feels like a spiritual compass, one that's surprisingly perfect for helping us navigate the absolute chaos of our modern lives. So, have you ever felt just completely overwhelmed by it all? The constant notifications, the deadlines, the rush. I mean, you're definitely not alone. The good news is the Wahoo Ching offers this incredible path back to finding that calm center right in the middle of all the noise. So, let's start with the absolute foundation of this whole thing. Okay, so our journey really begins with the biggest, most central idea in all of Taoism, the Tao. If you can get your head around the way, it's like you found the key that unlocks, well, pretty much everything else in this entire philosophy. So, what is the Tao really? Well, you'll often hear it called the Way. And what that means is it's the natural, unspoken order of the entire universe. It's not a god, it's not something you can point to. Think of it more like the fundamental, flowing energy or essence that's just in everything. And right away, we run into this beautiful little paradox. We can sit here and try to define the Tao all day long, but the text is super clear. Its true nature just can't be pinned down with words. It's not something you memorize from a book. It's something you have to feel and experience for yourself. All right, so how do we actually live in sync with this way? It really boils down to a few key ideas. First up is humility, just recognizing that we're a tiny piece of this enormous puzzle. And once you get that, it's easier to embrace simplicity, cut out the noise. That leads to balance. And finally, learning to move with the current of nature instead of constantly trying to swim against it. Okay, that brings us to the really practical part. How do we take all these big ideas and actually apply them to our, day-to-day lives? The answer is this amazing concept called effortless action. This is a big one. It's called Wu Wei. Now, a lot of people translate this as non-action, but honestly, that's kind of misleading. It does not mean sitting around and doing nothing, not at all. It's more about aligning yourself so perfectly with the flow of what's happening that your actions just feel spontaneous. They're effective, they're powerful, but there's no struggle, no strain. So how in the world do you practice this? Okay, think of it like you're in a canoe on a river. Step 1, you just observe the current. You don't immediately start paddling like crazy against it, right? Step 2, you adapt, just like water. When you see a rock, you don't ram into it. You flow around it. Step 3 is all about trusting that the river is generally going in the right direction. And finally, step 4, you act, but you do it responsibly. A little touch on the rudder here and there, not a big panicked jerk. All right, so we've talked about our actions out in the world. Now let's turn that focus inward, because the next piece of the puzzle is all about finding that inner peace and clarity that comes from stillness. Yeah, this chart really nails it, doesn't it? I mean, let's be honest, most of us spend a lot of time in that left column, the distracted mind. It's just nonstop mental chatter, rigid ideas, all driven by our ego. The goal of all these practices is to shift over to the right column, the mindful mind, a mind that's quiet, aware, and totally focused on the here and now. But, and this is super important, this isn't just about meditating for 20 minutes and then you're done. No way. True Taoist mindfulness is a full-time gig. It's about bringing that incredible, deep presence to everything you do. The way you eat your lunch, the way you feel your feet on the ground when you walk, the way you actually truly listen when someone is talking to you. So what happens when you start to practice this stuff, living in the flow, finding that inner stillness? Well, something really cool starts to happen. Certain qualities just naturally begin to pop up. These are what they call the virtues of the sage, which is basically the ideal person who's totally in sync with the Tao. Okay, there are 3 really big ones. The first virtue is compassion. And this isn't just about being nice. It comes from this deep, gut-level understanding that we are all fundamentally connected, that what you do to someone else, you're kind of doing to yourself. Next up, we've got patience. And again, this isn't the stuck in traffic, gritting your teeth kind of patience. This is a deep, profound trust in the universe's timing. It's what allows you to stay calm and centered even when things are going haywire. And finally, all of this leads to wisdom. And we're not talking about book smarts or being able to win at a trivia night. This is a deep, intuitive knowing of the Tao. It's the ability to see reality for what it is, without all the filters and distortions our ego and desires usually put on it. Okay, this brings us to the final, and maybe the most mind-bending shift in perspective. It's all about learning to see the world beyond just black and white, and escaping what's known as the trap of duality. Think about it. We are trained from day one to see the world in these binary terms: good versus evil, success versus failure, right versus wrong. But the Hua Hu Ching says, hold on a second. This way of thinking, it's a trap. It boxes us in and creates a really limited and honestly a super stressful way of seeing things. And this is where the Taoist view just flips the whole script. Instead of seeing all these opposites as enemies at war with each other, it sees them as, well, partners. They depend on each other. I mean, you can't have light without dark, right? You don't know what success feels like without failure. They're not fighting. They're two sides of the exact same coin, creating this perfect, harmonious balance. And when you can finally let go of that rigid this or that way of thinking, you get to experience reality as it actually is, this one seamless, beautiful whole. And that is the ultimate goal here. It's this union with the Tao, where that feeling of being separate from everything else just dissolves, and what's left is this incredible peace and feeling of connection to everything. So, I want to leave you with a question to take with you. Just for today, look at your life, at whatever challenges you're facing. Can you find just one place where instead of trying to force an outcome, you could just let go a little bit and trust the flow? Thanks so much for joining me on this little journey.